حصلت الحركة على
أهلا بكم إلى حلقة هذا الأسبوع من المرصد نغطي فيها الفترة من 19 إلى 25 سبتمبر 2021. أنا نهاد الجريري. إلى العناوين. خلافا لبيان حراس الدين السباعي لم يحكم لصالح القيادة في قضية المفصولين. التحالف يقتل قائدين من الحراس ليصل عدد الغارات إلى 7 خلال 15 شهرا الماضية. وضيفة الأسبوع السيدة غايسو ياري المسؤولة في مفوضية الخدمة المدنية التابعة لحكومة أفغانستان السابقة. السيدة ياري تروي رحلة اللجوء من مطار كابول. وبإمكانكم الرجوع إلى نص هذه الحلقة في أخبار الآن .net، وفيها أخبار لم يتسنى لنا أن نغطيها هنا. تناقل أنصار القاعدة في الشام بيانا نسب إلى أبي همام الشامي زعيم حراس الدين. البيان الذي قدم له المدعو حسان الشامي مراسل شام الرباط القناة الرسمية للحراس هو الثاني من نوعه خلال أسبوع تقريبا، فيه تعقيب على رفض هيئة تحرير الشام الدعوة التي تضمنها البيان الأول إلى احتكام شرعي عند أبي قتادة الفلسطيني أو أي محكمة مستقلة ترضاها الهيئة. وكما البيان الأول، هذا الثاني غير موفق لأنه لم يقدم حلا يشي باستراتيجية على مستوى قيادة، والأهم هو المغالطات التي في هذا البيان. في الحلقة الماضية بينا أن قيادة الحراس رفضت احتكاما شرعيا دعا إليه عناصر التنظيم فيما عرف بقضية المفصولين أبي ذر وأبي يحيى اللذين تحفظا على سلوك القيادة، ومن ذلك تنسيق هجمات مشتركة مع هيئة تحرير الشام. إذن هذا البيان يعقب على هذا الخلاف الداخلي الذي وقع في العام 2019. يقول هذا البيان إنه تم رفع الأمر إلى العلماء للبت فيه، وإن بعض أهل العلم فصلوا في الأمر، ومنهم هاني السباعي الذي أصدر حول تلك الأحداث كلمة صوتية، وإن قيادة الحراس التزموا بالحكم الشرعي الذي بينه السباعي، وبالتالي فالقضية تم حلها عند أهل العلم وقيادة التنظيم. هذا إذن ما جاء في بيان أبي همام الشامي، وهذا كلام غير صحيح. في تاريخ 26/6/2019 تحدث هاني السباعي في الأمر، كان المفروض أن يقدم درسا لطلابه، لكنه تحدث أكثر من ساعة في تلك الأحداث. وخلاصة ما قاله الرجل: أولا، أكد السباعي أن أي من طرفي الخلاف لم يختره للتحكيم، وأن تعليقه هذا هو من باب النصيحة، وبالتالي كذب البيان عندما أوحى بأن القيادة رفعت الأمر إلى هاني السباعي.
أنا هنا لست قاضيا معينا من قبل سلطة أنا تابع لها مثلا، فلست كذلك، ولست محكما اختارني خصمان طواعية.
الأمر الثاني هو أن السباعي انتقد طرفي الخلاف، أبا همام والعريدي من جهة والقاضيين الجزائري والمصري من جهة أخرى، لكن انتقاده القيادة كان أشد، وهذا واضح في نهاية حديثه.
أنا أقول ليس معناه أنك اتخذت القرار فإنك من العيب أن ترجع عن القرار. يجوز لك، رأيت من المصلحة ورأيت أن في ربما في نتيجة نزغ شيطان أو نتيجة أن القرار اتخذ على عجالة أو أي شيء، فإنك ممكن تتراجع على القرار.
الأمر الثالث هو أن السباعي بدأ بالتفصيل الشرعي لمسألة عزل قاضي أو حتى قائد في ساحة المعركة مستندا إلى أحداث من التاريخ، وفي هذا شقان.
لكن أن يعزل قاضيا في هذه الحالة إذا عزله وقال إنه هذا الرجل مثلا اتهمه بالخيانة، بالسب، بالقذف، بأي شيء، هذه تحتاج إلى قضاء، هذه تحتاج إلى محاكمة، ويجب أن يرضخ لها الأمير وأن يدعى إليها، لأنه هذه بتهمة محددة. أما أنه بدعو القاضي ليه؟ بدعو إلى القضاء لماذا؟ لنتحاكم في الأمير فصلانا. لماذا فصلانا؟ هوش إيش يعني؟ ما هو في رأي آخر في الفقه وفي عند علماء يرى بأنه يجوز للأمير أن يعزل حتى ولو بغير موجب شرعي.
الأمر الرابع والمهم هو أن المشكلة كما يقول السباعي هي أن قرار الفصل لم يكن فصل من منصب وإنما فصل من جماعة.
أنت بتقول له أنت قررنا فصلك من منصب القضاء، خلاص تصير جنديا عاديا، تصير أخا لنا عادي. لكن قرار فصل من القضاء وقرار واتباعه فصل من الجماعة، هؤلاء مفصولون، يعني فصل يعني.
وخامسا السباعي انتقد أن تعلن قيادة الحراس عن القرار بالطريقة التي حدثت.
قرار الفصل ألا ينشر بهذه الطريقة، حتى إذا كان لابد أن ينشر شفاهة بينكم، وبعدين يكون في يعني ما هي العجالة؟ يعني أنا بتعجب ما هي العجالة في نشر مثل هذا القرار أو هذه القرارات اللي تحدث فتنة والتي تشمت أعداء الإسلام الذين يتربصون بالمسلمين.
إذن الخلاصة هي أن تمنع بيان قيادة حراس الدين بأن السباعي أفتى في الأمر فيه مواربة للحقيقة. الأمر الثاني في هذا البيان المنسوب إلى قيادة حراس الدين هو أن أبا همام الشامي يلمح إلى أن هيئة تحرير الشام متورطة في تنسيق ضربات التحالف التي تستهدف المعارضين وأهمهم قيادات حراس الدين. يقول هذا التحالف استهدف الشيخ أبا محمد السوداني بعد رسالته الأخيرة بيوم واحد والتي طالبكم فيها بالتحاكم للشريعة، وقد استهدف غيره، وكل هذا تم في خضم أحداث الاعتقال والمطاردة من قبلكم. وهذا ما حدث بالفعل. يوم الاثنين 20 سبتمبر 2021 قتل التحالف قرب بن الشرق إدلب 2 من قياديي حراس الدين، أبا البراء التونسي وهو عضو المجلس الشرعي، وأبا حمزة اليمني وهو قائد عسكري. تمت غموض في المسألة. رغم ذلك حساب مزمجر الثورة السورية على التليجرام قال إن السيارة المستهدفة كان فيها رجل واحد فقط هو أبو البراء، لكن حساب رد عدوان البغاة لم يذكر أبا البراء قط، وأكد قتل أبي حمزة. خلال الأشهر 15 الماضية قتل من قيادات الحراس ومعارضي الجولاني 15 شخصا على الأقل، إما في ضربات التحالف أو مواجهات مع أمنيي الهيئة، وقد أعددنا في أخبار الآن ملفا عن هذا الأمر. أراد طالبان أن يتحدثوا في الاجتماع السنوي للجمعية العمومية للأمم المتحدة في نيويورك، فكتبوا إلى الأمين العام أن السفير لديهم غلام آيزاك زاي هو من عهدة الحكومة المخلوعة وبالتالي هو مخلوع، وعينوا مكانه سهيل شاهين. لكن الأمم المتحدة قالوا إن طالبان لن يخاطبوا العالم من المنبر الدولي. إذن طالبان يريدون أن يكونوا جزءاً من الأمم المتحدة. ونتذكر هنا ما قاله زعيم القاعدة الظواهري في مرئيته الأخيرة عندما أنكر واستنكر الانضمام إلى الأمم المتحدة.
كل الدول الأعضاء في الأمم المتحدة بما في ذلك دول العالم العربي والإسلامي معترفة بدولة إسرائيل.
منظر الجهادية أبو محمد المقدسي له أيضا رأي في الأمم المتحدة ويعتبرها كفرية. نعود إلى مقال كتبه في العام 2016 ردا على كلام الغرياني حول الانضمام إلى الأمم المتحدة. يقول المقدسي: من يشارك في هيئة الأمم المتحدة لابد له ليس فقط أن يقر الكفر الوارد في ميثاقها، بل لابد له أن يلتزم به ويؤيده ويسعى لتحقيق بنوده ويلتزم بها. الآن هذا الأسبوع وتعليقا على قرار طالبان تعيين سفير في المنظمة الدولية، غرد المقدسي قائلا إن الحرص على عضوية الأمم المتحدة هو منزلق وتنازل وخضوع سياسي لا يلائم جماعة مثل طالبان. ماذا يعني هذا؟ هل هذب الرجل رأيه فالمنزلق ليس كمثل الكفر؟ أبو محمود الفلسطيني الموالي للهيئة ولطالبان تعجب من أن المقدسي كان يقول عن طلب العضوية في الأمم المتحدة إقرارا بالكفر، وجعل دخول الأمم المتحدة بواحا وشركا، والآن يقول منزلقا وخضوعا سياسيا. مرة أخرى في هذا البرنامج نرحب بالسيدة غايسو ياري التي كانت حتى 15 أغسطس 2021 مفوضة في مفوضية الخدمة المدنية والرقابة والإصلاح في أفغانستان. السيدة ياري صحفية وكاتبة وهي ناشطة حقوقية وتنتمي إلى الهزارة الأفغان. شكرا جزيلا لوجودك معنا مرة أخرى سيدة ياري. سيدة ياري، مضى وقت طويل من لما شفتك آخر مرة بكابل، الحقيقة كان يوم جميل جدا، الحياة تدب في كل العاصمة، وكنتي عم بتحضري مع زميلات إلك وصديقات حملات للدفاع عن النساء وحق التعليم، وفعلا كان يوم جميل ورائع. كيف تحول ذلك اليوم من حال إلى حال؟ ما الذي حدث في ساعات قبل سقوط كابل؟
I mean, there are so many things and from so many angles that I can't talk to. What happened? Everything stopped. The mind stopped. The institutions stopped, the banks stopped, the people's movement stopped, Kabul stopped, because we did see Kabul, as you experienced, as a very vibrant city, right? And that people were going around, we had campaigns, we were very active, cafes were open, banks were open, people were here and there doing their businesses, but everything out of nowhere stopped immediately. So that stops by itself. I think it stops everyone's minds, which was extremely hard for everybody to imagine what happened. I don't think everybody can answer that question correctly, because people who left Afghanistan or people who are still in Afghanistan are still in shock, as I said. It'll be extremely hard to answer, but what stopped is the government stopped, and I was part of this government that I was not aware of, right? On Saturday, I went to the office. I went to work. I talked to my boss. I talked to my other colleagues. A lot of women in my board were very nervous, came to me and said, what is going on? And I had to pretend that nothing is going on. We have to wait, see what's going to happen, because no one knows the answer. I think on Sunday, I didn't go to the office because I thought maybe I should go to the bank, because on Saturday, I couldn't get any cash from the bank. On Sunday, I didn't go to work, but I went to the bank. And on the way to the bank, we just heard that the Taliban entered Kabul. And everybody was desperate. And I was just looking around on the streets. People were just running as everybody was scared, and all the coffee shops got closed. Banks were closed. A lot of people were outside of the bank to get some cash, including me and my sister. We couldn't get access to our banks. ATMs were stopped. Grocery stores were closed. Around 12 or 1 o'clock, I was on the way. The traffic got so heavy that I got in my apartment around 3 in the afternoon. And around 4 o'clock, we heard that the president left. When the president left, I think it was the end of it. We just noticed that it's not going to come back. We feel like the Taliban actually entered yesterday, but not fully. But they are going to take the control over now. And then that on Monday, we were noticed that Taliban are searching houses. And searching houses and collecting the government cars and armored cars. And also they went to too many houses. And that was when I was alarmed that I have to leave the apartment, because I was also, as a commissioner, I was a high profile, person. And I left everything behind me. I went to my aunt's house in a very corner of Kabul, in the west of Kabul.
وعندها قررت الرحيل سيدة ياري.
I was contacted by my friends from Poland, where I am right now. they said, it's your time, you have to get out. I said, I don't want to get out. They said, you have to, because there is no hope. And the government and the future of Afghanistan, I'm not sure if you will survive. When I noticed that a lot of women parliamentarians' houses were searched by the Taliban, and I talked to my friends, and their apartments and buildings were surrounded by the Taliban. They were like, this is not our space, we have to leave. So that was the moment I decided to leave, yeah.
سيدة ياري، كنت أتحدث معك سواء في هذا البرنامج أو لما كنت في كابول أو حتى في الأيام القليلة الأخيرة قبل السقوط، كنت متفائلة بأنه الأمور ستسير إلى حل، حتى أنك كنت عم بتطمنيني أنه طالبان ما راح يدخلوا، والآن جارية مفاوضات لحكم مشترك. يعني إلى هذه الدرجة حضرتك كنت واثقة من حل، وفي نفس الوقت في هذا البرنامج كنت ترفضين حمل السلاح، لكنك اضطررت إلى الرحيل في نفس الوقت بالرغم من هذه الثقة بالعملية السياسية. ما أصعب شيء في هذه الرحلة سيدة ياري؟
I think when the peace negotiation started, I think a lot of activists, including me, agreed that it may go forward. I think the reason we were optimistic was because we thought the international world will not leave us alone. And we thought that the international community spent so much time and energy and budget on this country that they will not let it collapse. That, I think that kind of helped us to have the commitment to stay. We thought maybe we can still receive the support in this peace negotiation, whatever the conclusion is going to be, it just has to happen. And then we have to stop the bloodshed, right? That was the purpose, and also the resettlement, and see what kind of government we're going to have. I mean, I don't think any woman activist supported that the President Ghani should stay forever. We were saying that, so if the peace negotiation is going to result to stop the war, then we will accept that. And then we will have some sort of negotiation and agreements and then move on. But we didn't know that that wasn't the story. The story was completely different. My journey was extremely hard. When me and Abdullah decided to leave, and I left all my family members behind me in Kabul, me and him, we got just our backpacks, was sent in a taxi. We went to the main entrance of the airport. We got out because I just heard from the news here and there is a lot of firings going on and the Taliban are not doing very well with the people. And I didn't know that I'm going to experience this. I didn't know that how it would look like to face the Taliban on the street. Me and Abdullah got out of the taxi and we walked toward the airport entrance, and we were stopped by a Talib who had a gun and asked us where we were going. And we showed our passports. We said, we are going to the airport. They just laughed at us and said, there is no planes, there is no flights, don't even bother, go back. You cannot enter. And I persistently said that, well, I have an American passport. I want to go. And he just pushed Abdullah and told him, I'm asking you to return. And then as soon as we returned, they started firing on the air. It was one, and we ran away. We got another taxi. We went to another friend's house who was close by until 9 o'clock. We started going back to the gate. When we got to the gate this time, I imagined that you are going to pass a gate that is controlled by the Taliban, and then you're going to enter a space that is full of probably like thousands of people, more than thousands of people just gathered, and everybody is pushing each other toward to the door. And I looked at Abdullah and I said, I don't want to go. If I get killed in this country, I get killed. I don't think I do have the energy to pass this amount of people. I can't, I will die. He told me that we are not going back. We have to give a try. Until 9 in the morning, finally, I sometimes, Nehat, I feel like I was hearing and reading these stories of people who were smuggled from the Turkish border, Afghans smuggled, and how hard it was to just pass that border. I always thought that I don't know if I will ever experience that, because that seems really hard to me, but I did experience it when I left Kabul this time. It was as if you had the military on one side and you had like thousands of people on the other side, And then you had to find a way to show your passport that you are on this list to be evacuated. And then the military would just push everybody back and firing on the air so that they could come and pick you up from there, as if you're a ball or something, just come and pick you up and throw you on the other side. Finally, we got in Poland and we are in a refugee camp right now. And I am experiencing a refugee camp right now. A Polish journalist who retired actually gave me this apartment to use because in the refugee camp I can't work as much, and I'm coming here at least once a week or twice a week to just spend a night here to just give a fresh breath and then go back to the camp because I don't have money and I have to go there and survive. So imagine that I had a job in Afghanistan. I worked for the women of that country and that I belong to. I studied in the United States, right? I probably had so much privileges, right? And compared to other women, I still had to suffer to go through that gate and experience the refugee camps. And so many other women are experiencing the same thing. We don't know how the future will look like. I don't know how long will it take us to, I don't know. I mean, for me, it would be easier to find a job. I imagine for others who do not even have documents, what is going to happen? Is there a hope to go back? To go back for what? To work for who?
سيدة ياري، كلما تحدثت إلى امرأة في كابول أو حتى هنا في البرنامج كان التعليم دائما حاضر. ماذا يعني التعليم لكنا للأفغانيات في أفغانستان؟
What I think education activists who are actually doing advocacy for girls' education in Afghanistan, I think we are hoping for the future. If our generation actually suffered so much, the generation before us was during the war, and our generation was the generation that actually defined the identity of the Afghan people, right? In that 20 years, we developed, we identified, and we defined values. I think education is one of those values that stays on top of our priorities. I think we believe, while still, I don't think the Taliban will believe, I don't think they will understand what we are saying, but I think we believe that if we don't educate this generation who came after us, I think we will lose the opportunity to see a developed Afghanistan. It's just that basic. Education for girls means you have, I don't know, better communities. Right now, the Taliban are saying that we are looking for a proper mechanisms because we will allow them to go to schools and only women should teach. From a civil service commission, Nihar, I know that we don't have enough female teachers. We don't have enough female professors who can teach in the university level, right? Then how are we going to provide them human resources? How are we going to provide them education? It is, to me, it's a joke still, right? But I think for me, I fought for education. I personally did. My mom fought to send her daughters to go to schools so they could get educated and established. I mean, so many others did. And we do know the test of it, right? Because I personally experienced it, what it means to get an education, to have a job and be involved in community.
وأنت سيدة ياري امرأة مكافحة، أعلم عنك أنك تأتين من عائلة ذات موارد محدودة، كافحتي حتى حصلتي على تعليم عالي، وفي نفس الوقت أعرف أنك تشرفين على تعليم إخوة شباب لك.
My mom was very supportive of education in our family and always wanted the children to go to school because my dad was not alive and she felt really responsible. And I sent, when I was in the United States going to undergrad school, I worked in Starbucks for 6 years because I was sending money to my brothers to Kabul to get their higher education. The brothers who are living with me, I supported them to go to school and get education. And I know so many other women who did the same thing. They prioritized their brothers and their sisters. They did not even think about their personal lives, but they thought about their siblings to be established.
الآن وأنت بعيدة عن كابل سيدة ياري، ما هي أكثر أخبار تزعجك وتعتقدين أنها أخبار زائفة غير صحيحة تصل من بلدك؟
One it upsets me the most that I do see groups of women protesting, using democracy as a platform, but protest against democracy, but supporting the Taliban. And I mean, this paradox kills me when I see it. And it makes me so angry to the point that I just stop watching these videos, because I know they're just made up. I know that they're false, right? It's just you see women having burqas and just calling, we don't support democracy, but we support the Taliban. But at the end of the day, when you raise your voice, you are actually practicing democracy, right? It's just that easy, but they don't understand. That is one thing that makes me angry. The second one is that Zabihullah Mujahid, this guy, every time he comes, he just says, you know what? The government is going to be inclusive. We are going to add more minorities in the government. We are going to allow girls to go to school. These are big lies. I remember when Trump was in the United States, when he was just going in front, in front of the journalists in the press conference and was saying, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Afghanistan is fine. Middle East is fine. I'm not touching those, this and that. At the end of the day, everything was false and lies. When he comes every time to the camera in front of the journalists, it makes me angry. And to the point, I have to listen because I want to know what is going to happen, what's going on. But at the same time, it becomes too heavy.
سيدة ياري، ما رأيك بحكم الطالبان المؤقتة؟
I still don't believe that the Taliban have the aim to govern, to practice governance. Because the way they are doing right now is not different than what they did in 1996, which is not sustainable. Because they don't even believe in the system that exists. Either it was good or bad. For instance, my colleagues contacted me from the commission, and then the commission is not functioning. The only part that is functioning, the admin and finance part of it, because they want to know where the money gone, and they have to find about that. Everything else is because I don't think they even believe in the system that existed, and I don't think they do have an alternative, because appointing people to these positions are not based on the need of the government and the need of the people. It's based on the compromise they had with their own leaders. So that is different. If you are, remember in 2001 when we had Hamid Karzai to lead the government, what he did, he wanted to compromise with warlords who fought and wanted to have a share. And he had to give it to these different warlords because to satisfy them. Taliban are doing the same thing because they do have conflict among them, because they are different groups. They are actually coming and basically pleasing them first before they are thinking about the services and what they are actually going to provide to the people. And they only chose their own people to govern, and they don't know how to govern. I saw a video of a Talib who was who is responsible for the Directorate of Education in Daikundi. When he talked, he didn't know what he was saying. He did not even know what to do with the amount of students in Daikundi and the amount of teachers, and he didn't know how to organize them. So if you don't have that basic skill, to lead, I don't know if the people of Afghanistan should be hopeful about, service delivery, about the impacts, about, sustainability and things like that.
السيدة غايسو ياري، شكرا جزيلا لك.
It was a pleasure, and it is a pleasure. Thank you.
وشكرا جزيلا لوجودكم معنا في راديو وتلفزيون الآن. أنا نهاد الجريري، مع السلامة.